The airport was busy that morning. People rushed past each other, dragging suitcases and holding coffee cups. The loudspeakers called out flight numbers, and children laughed while playing near their parents. In the middle of this, Amara stood, tall and calm. She was a beautiful black woman in her 30s, wearing a light blue suit and carrying a sleek laptop bag. Her steps were confident. Today was special. Amara was heading to New York for the biggest business meeting of her life. After working for years on her tech startup, she finally had a chance to pitch her idea to a group of investors. If they liked it, everything would change: her company, her life, and the future of many young women she hoped to help. She had prepared for this moment for months. Her ticket was in hand and her seat was confirmed. First class. When she reached the gate, she smiled politely at the gate agent, a middle-aged woman with blonde hair tied up in a bun. The woman didn't smile back. Instead, she looked Amara, up and down, eyes pausing on her dark skin, her braids, and the expensive but unfamiliar designer bag. "Ticket, please," the woman said coldly. Amara handed it over. The agent frowned. This flight is full. You must be in the wrong line," she said sharply. Amara was confused. "No, this is Flight 307 to New York, right? My seat is 2A. It's confirmed." The agent didn't even look at the ticket again. "I'll need to double-check," she said, stepping aside. Amara waited, her heart starting to beat faster. Behind her, other passengers were walking past the gate and boarding the plane without any trouble. 5 minutes passed, then 10. Amara finally asked, "Excuse me, may I know what's going on?" The agent looked annoyed. "You need to calm down." "I'm handling it. I'm not upset. I just don't want to miss my flight," Amara replied, still polite. The woman narrowed her eyes. "Security," she suddenly called out. 2 uniformed guards approached. Amara's chest tightened. She felt the stares. People nearby were beginning to notice. A few pulled out their phones and started recording. The agent crossed her arms. "This passenger is being difficult." "I'm not being difficult," Amara said firmly. "I just want to board my flight. Here's my ticket. You haven't explained why I can't get on the plane." One of the guards glanced at the ticket. Then, "The agent. She's got a seat," he said quietly. But the agent was not ready to let go. "I don't feel comfortable letting her board." A man nearby whispered to his wife, "This is wrong." A young woman with bright pink hair raised her phone and said, "I'm recording this. She has a right to fly." Amara's hands were trembling now, but she stood straight. Her voice was calm but clear. "I'm going to New York for a business meeting. This is my confirmed seat. I have done nothing wrong." The guard seemed unsure. "Ma'am, maybe you could wait until we sort this out," the gate agent added. "Quickly, or take another flight." Amara looked at her sharply. "My meeting is today. I can't miss it. And I won't stand down just because you're uncomfortable with me." The crowd grew silent. And then slowly, Amara opened her laptop bag and pulled out a black folder. She turned to the agent and said, "You might want to call your CEO." The woman blinked. Amara continued, "I helped build the flight booking software your airline uses, the one that confirms every seat, including mine." Now all eyes were on the agent. Her face turned pale. The younger security guard looked shocked. "You built the system?" Amara nodded. "I co-founded the tech company your airline worked with last year. I know how your system works better than you do." The gate agent took a step back. I didn't know that." Amara looked at her without anger. Just sadness. "No, you didn't. Because you didn't ask. You only saw my face." Silence. Then, someone clapped. A few more joined in. One woman said, "This is disgusting. Let her board." Amara stood quietly holding her folder. She didn't smile. She didn't cry. She simply waited. The camera zooms in, not literally, but in the minds of the people watching. A black woman, alone, refused entry for no reason, but still standing strong, still calm, still in control, and the question left in the air, thick with tension. The gate was now quiet. Amara stood firm, her black folder still in her hand. The gate agent's face had changed. Her boldness was gone. She looked small now, her lips tight, her eyes flicking around. Nervously, one of the security guards stepped forward. "Ma'am, please board the flight. You have every right to." Amara didn't move at first. She looked at the people around her, many still watching, some still recording. And then her eyes returned to the agent. "I want her to say it," Amara said quietly. The crowd stirred. The agent's mouth opened slightly. "Say what?" "That I had a seat. That I didn't do anything wrong," Amara said, her voice steady. The woman's face turned red. I was just doing my job." "No," Amara replied. "You were judging me. And if people here hadn't recorded, I wouldn't be on this flight." The agent looked down, her voice dropped. "You're right, I'm sorry." Amara didn't say anything else. She simply picked up her bag and walked slowly to the jet bridge. Head held high. As she disappeared down the tunnel, a soft applause started again from the crowd. Few passengers nodded at her with quiet respect, but Amara didn't smile. Not yet. She took her seat. 2A, first class. The steward greeted her with a warm, practiced grin. "Welcome aboard, Ms. Hughes," she said. Amara Hughes. "Would you like water or juice before takeoff?" "Just water," she replied, glancing out the window. As the plane pulled back from the gate, Amara leaned her head back. The adrenaline was still in her veins. Her fingers were tight around the armrest. She wasn't angry. She was tired. Tired of proving herself again and again, tired of being judged before being known. The man next to her, a kind-looking older white gentleman, turned slightly. "If it's not rude to ask, that was you at the gate, right?" Amara nodded. "I saw the video just now on Twitter. It's already going viral." She raised an eyebrow. "Already?" "Yes." He chuckled sadly. "It's the world we live in." He hesitated, then added, "I'm sorry that happened to you." She gave a small smile. "Thank you." There was a long pause. Then Amara opened her laptop and began reviewing her pitch slides. She wasn't going to let this ruin her day. She had come too far. But as she worked, a flight attendant approached her with a small note in hand. "Ms. Hughes?" Someone just asked. "Me to pass this to you." Amara took the paper. It was folded neatly. She opened it slowly. It read, "You don't know me, but I was watching. I didn't speak up, and I should have. I'm sorry, you reminded me of my daughter, and I hope she grows up to be just like you." 14C. Amara's throat tightened. She looked toward the back of the plane. She couldn't tell who had sent it. But it didn't matter. For a moment her hand stopped shaking, not because the world had changed, but because someone, even quietly, had chosen to care. And in that quiet moment, something shifted. Not outside her, but inside. She whispered to herself, "Let them watch." Suspense builds again as the plane moves through the clouds, because what Amara does next isn't just for her. It's for every person who's ever been told, "You don't belong here," and the audience now wonders. The flight touched down right on time. Amara gathered her things calmly, but her mind was racing. She had 1 hour to get from the airport to the downtown office building. That's where the investor waited. Someone powerful, someone hard to impress. This pitch could change her life, but she didn't expect what would be waiting at the arrivals gate. As she stepped out of the terminal, a young woman rushed up to her with a microphone. Behind her was a man holding a camera. "Excuse me, Miss Hughes, can we talk to you about what happened at the airport earlier?" Amara blinked. "How do you know my name?" The reporter smiled awkwardly. "Your video's everywhere now, 500,000 views in 2 hours. The airline's name is trending. People are angry." Amara sighed. "I'm not here to start a fight. I just want to do my job." The reporter nodded. "We understand, but people are calling you brave. They're saying you stood up for more than just yourself." Amara gave a tired smile. "I just stood my ground." She politely declined the interview and got into her ride. Inside the car, her phone kept buzzing. Dozens of notifications, messages, from old classmates, strangers, even her aunt in Texas. They'd all seen it. But Amara turned the phone over. She had one thing to focus on now, the pitch. By the time she reached the tall glass building downtown, she was ready. Her nerves were calm, her heart was steady. She stepped out of the car, holding her presentation case tightly. The receptionist looked up as she entered the lobby. "Amara Hughes?" "Yes. Please go right up. Mr. Reynolds is waiting for you on the 40th floor." She took the elevator alone. The doors closed and the silence felt deep. Her reflection stared back at her in the mirror like walls. Sharp, focused, unshaken. When the elevator opened, a tall man in a navy suit stood. There, smiling warmly. "Ms. Hughes," he said, offering his hand. "I'm Marcus Reynolds. It's a pleasure to meet you." "The pleasure's mine," she replied. They walked into a modern meeting room with high ceilings and wide windows. Sunlight poured in. As Amara began her pitch, she spoke with clarity and strength. Her business plan was solid. Her idea was powerful, using tech to give underprivileged youth access to education and mentorship. But halfway through, Marcus leaned forward slightly and said something that stopped her mid-sentence. "I saw the video." Amara's heart skipped. He continued, "What you did, the way you carried yourself, that's exactly the kind of person I want to work with." Amara looked surprised. "So you're not worried about the attention?" He shook his head. "I'm impressed by how you handled it. Most people either yell or break down. You stayed calm, strong. That's leadership." Amara let out a quiet breath. For a moment she thought she might cry, but she didn't. She straightened up and continued with her pitch. "When," she finished, Marcus stood and extended his hand again. "You've got my support," he said. "Let's build this." The deal was done. Just like that, her life changed. But the moment wasn't over yet. As she exited the building, her phone rang again. This time, it was an unknown number. She answered. A deep voice came through. "Monsieur Hughes?" "Yes." "This is David Langston, president of the Airline. I just wanted to personally apologize for what happened this morning." Amara was silent. "I saw the video," he said. "It should have never happened. We're investigating the staff involved and we'd like to invite you to speak with us privately. We want to listen. And we'd also like you to consider joining our new Diversity and Fairness Board." Amara didn't expect that. "Thank you," she said softly. "I'll think about it." And as she hung up the call, she looked up at the sky. The same sky she flew under just hours ago. But now, everything was different. The news was everywhere. Amara's name was all over social media, news apps, even on talk shows. People were talking. Not just about what happened at the airport, but about how she reacted. She hadn't shouted, she hadn't cried. She had stood tall, calm, and strong. That's what touched hearts around the world. But while people were celebrating Amara, someone else's life was falling apart. Her name was Rebecca, the gate agent from the airport, and she was now the most hated woman on the internet. Videos of her stopping Amara had gone viral. Strangers were calling her racist. Her face was shared in memes and angry posts. Her job was at risk. Her inbox was full of threats. She hadn't slept in 2 nights. Inside her small apartment, Rebecca stared at the news on TV. Her hands trembled. She whispered, "What have I done?" She never meant for things to go so far. She didn't think, she just assumed. She let bias speak before logic. And now she was the villain in everyone's story. Her phone rang. It was her supervisor. "Rebecca," he said, "the airline wants you to speak with HR. And Amara Hughes." She agreed to meet. Rebecca's stomach turned. "What? Why would she want to see me?" She said people make mistakes, but she wants to say her part, and she wants to hear yours. For the first time since the incident, Rebecca cried. Really cried. 2 days later, in a quiet corner room at the airline's headquarters, the 2 women sat across from each other. The room was simple. A table, 2 chairs, no cameras, no reporters. Just truth. Rebecca looked down, unable to meet Amara's eyes. Amara stayed calm. Her voice was steady. "Why did you stop me that day?" she asked softly. Rebecca's lips trembled. I don't know. You looked different, and I panicked. I thought, maybe your ticket was fake, or maybe you were in the wrong place. Amara nodded slowly. I wasn't in the wrong place. I had a valid ticket. I followed every rule. I know, Rebecca whispered. I judged you, and I'm sorry, not just because I got in trouble, but because I now realize how many times people like you face this. Amara listened. I've seen the comments. I've seen people attack you, she said. Rebecca nodded. They're harsh, but maybe I deserve it. No one deserves hate, Amara replied. But they do deserve accountability. That day, you didn't just stop a passenger. You made a choice to treat me differently. You need to understand why that matters. I do, Rebecca said, wiping her eyes. And I want to change. For a moment, the room was quiet. Amara stood. Then start by listening, not just to me, but to others. Be aware of your power. Don't assume. Ask. Respect. Rebecca stood too. Thank you for even talking to me. Amara extended her hand. Rebecca looked at it, surprised. She shook it gently, tears falling down her cheeks. Later that evening, Amara posted a short message online. I met the woman who tried to stop me from boarding. She made a mistake, but she's learning. This isn't just about me, it's about how we see each other. Let's fight hate with truth and pain with purpose. The post went viral. People were stunned. Some applauded Amara's grace. Others said she was too forgiving. But Amara didn't post to please anyone. She posted to move forward. And that night, as she sat on her balcony watching the stars, she smiled. Not because everything was perfect, but because she had turned pain into progress. A few days after the meeting with Rebecca, Amara tried to return to her normal life, but nothing felt normal anymore. Her phone buzzed nonstop with messages from reporters, interview requests, and people thanking her for standing up. Even her small business website, where she sold handmade candles and journals, crashed from too much traffic. She was grateful, but overwhelmed. Then one evening, as she sat sipping tea, her phone rang again. But this time, the number flashing. On her screen was strange, international and unfamiliar. She almost didn't answer. But something inside told her to pick up. Hello, she said. Is this Ms. Amara Hughes? Came a deep, calm voice. Yes. Who's this? There was a short pause, then the voice said, This is Vin Diesel. Amara's jaw dropped. She sat up straight. I'm sorry. What? I saw what happened to you. I saw how you handled it, Vin said. The strength, the dignity. You inspired me. Amara blinked, stunned. Thank you. I don't know what to say. I don't usually do this, he continued, but I'm working with a group that helps women of color get access to business funding. And I think your story, your voice, can help even more people. You want me to speak? Amara asked, confused. Yes, he said. We're hosting a conference in Los Angeles next week. Powerful people will be there. Investors, creators, leaders. I want you to be one of the speakers. Amara felt her heart race. But I'm not famous. I just run a small business. That's exactly why you should come, Vin said. You represent the everyday woman. The strong, kind, bold woman who never gives up. That's who we need to hear from. Amara paused. She thought about everything that had happened. The pain, the anger, the moment at the airport, the meeting with Rebecca, all of it. Could she stand in front of a crowd and tell her story? Could she inspire others the way she had been inspired? Yes, she said finally. I'll come. A week later, Amara stood backstage at a beautiful event hall in Los Angeles. The crowd beyond the curtain was huge. Lights flashed, cameras rolled. Big names were being introduced one by one. Vin Diesel stood beside her, calm and supportive. You ready? He asked. No, she laughed nervously. But I'm going anyway, he smiled. That's the spirit. Then her name was called. She stepped onto the stage. The lights hit her face, a sea of faces stared back. Her hands shook slightly as she held the mic. But then, she spoke. She told them about the airport, the unfair treatment, the silence from the crowd. And then she told them about standing her ground, not with anger, but with grace. She shared how one small act of injustice became a movement of hope. And when she finished, the room was silent for a moment. Then came a thunder of applause. People stood. Some wiped tears. She had touched them. After the event, several investors approached her. One woman said, "Your story reminded me of my own past. I want to help fund your next project." Another man said, "You changed the way I see my own employees. Thank you." Amara's eyes filled with happy tears. Vin came over and hugged her. "You didn't just speak," he said. "You moved the room." That night, Amara sat in her hotel room, still wearing her name badge. Her phone buzzed again. This time it was a message from Rebecca. "I watched your speech. You were amazing. Thank you for showing the world what real strength looks like." Amara smiled softly. She had come a long way in just 1 week, but she knew the journey wasn't over yet. It was early morning. Amara sat by the hotel window, watching the sun rise over Los Angeles. Her heart felt full. Last night's speech had changed everything. People were reaching out with support, encouragement, and investment offers. She smiled, sipping her coffee. Then, her phone buzzed again. She picked it up, expecting another congratulations message. But what she saw made her sit up straight. It was a private message on social media. "Hi, Amara. I was at the airport that day. I saw everything. I've been scared to speak out, but I have something you need to see." Kayla, her hands trembled slightly. She clicked on the profile. Kayla's photo showed a young woman in her 20s with big eyes and curly hair. She looked kind, but nervous. Amara typed back, "Hi, Kayla. Thank you for reaching out. What is it you want to show me?" Kayla responded almost instantly. "I took a video. From behind the gate, I recorded the whole thing." Amara's heart skipped. She waited as a video file loaded. The footage began. Blurry at first, but it cleared up. It showed the gate area from a different angle. Amara's voice could be heard, calm and respectful. The gate agent's tone was cold and dismissive. Then came the moment when security approached. The most shocking part? A man in a suit quietly walked past the gate agent and said something in her ear. The agent's expression changed fast. She looked scared. Then she turned around and told Amara to leave, pretending it was her own decision. "Who is that man?" Amara whispered aloud. Kayla's next message came. "I work for the airline. That man, he's a regional manager. I heard he didn't want you on that flight because the investor you were meeting was someone the airline is secretly trying to block for business reasons." Amara stared at the screen. This wasn't just racism. This was something deeper: corporate games, power, manipulation. She messaged back, "Can you talk to me in person?" Kayla replied, "Yes. I'll meet you tomorrow. I want to tell the truth." The next day, Kayla met Amara in a quiet cafe. She looked nervous, her hands shaking. "I didn't know what to do," she said. "But after I saw your speech, I felt like I couldn't stay silent anymore." Kayla explained everything. The manager had told the gate agent to deny Amara quietly. The reason? The airline didn't want someone like Amara pitching a product that could threaten their own upcoming deal. It had nothing to do with seats or rules. They wanted to make it seem like your fault, Kayla said, so they wouldn't get in trouble. Amara felt a deep fire inside, but not anger. Purpose. "Thank you for telling me," she said, gently placing a hand on Kayla's. "You did the right thing." That night, Amara released Kayla's video on her social media with a calm statement. "The truth always finds a way. I didn't ask for this fight, but I won't walk away from it either. No one should be silenced for profit or power." The video went viral. News outlets picked it up. The airline came under fire, and days later the gate agent was removed from duty. The regional manager was suspended. And most importantly, A public investigation into corporate discrimination was launched. Amara didn't celebrate with cheers or parties. She just smiled quietly, because she had turned pain into power, hate into healing, and silence into strength. Closing. Zine. Weeks later, Amara stood in her new office. Her business had grown. She now had a small team, working on products that made life easier for busy women. She looked at a small photo frame on her desk. It held a picture of her at the conference, standing beside Vin Diesel and smiling. Then she picked up a marker and wrote on the whiteboard behind her, "Your voice is your power. Use it with grace." She turned around, ready to face the next chapter.